Pod goes, Droid goes, Mac goes, Linux goes, servos go, lights go, hydraulics go, dot matrix goes, inputs go, and keyboards go. But there's one sound that no one knows. What do the bots say?
This is madness.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
I'm an android.
My name is Optimus Prime.
What do the bots say?
Danger, Bill Robinson, danger.
Wally. What do the bots say?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
We are autonomous robotic organisms from
What
the
do the
planet
bots
Cybertron.
say?
Resistance is futile.
I do believe they think I am some sort of god.
What do the bots say?
I'll be back.
Big red eyes, metal toes, keyboard, mouse, security holes. If you get a virus, you'll turn blue. Backup, reformat, reinstall. So take your time.
A show about technology, trends, futurism, entrepreneurship, and lots more, with your host, Steve Favis.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? This is the Mr. Robots podcast. I'm your host, Steve Favis, and we have our first guest tonight. I'll give you a highlight of the show. Surprisingly, Owen Schroyer from Infowars.com contacted me. I guess he'll be on the line tonight. He's gonna call me when I send him a truth message. Basically, he found me on Truth, and I'm looking forward to having him. It's kind of a surprise. I guess Truth is a pretty awesome social network. I felt like I've either been shadow banned or banned by other social networks or something, because a lot of the stuff I send out there hasn't really been getting much response, or not too many people have been seeing them. So I don't know if it's just what I've been tweeting or what I've been saying or whatnot, but for the most part, it was interesting that he responded. So thanks a lot, Owen, and thanks a lot, Infowars crew and Alex Jones. Tonight, what I'm going to talk about, this is going to be a podcast I plan on doing about once a week, basically. And what I'm going to talk about is the economic hit I had on my company, basically, in 2017. I filed a patent regarding advanced robotics in 2015, basically. And around 2017, I was contacted by a Chinese firm called Shenzhen O-Film, and they wanted to invest and create a product with me. And I just by chance spoke at a nanoelectronics conference about the patent, and a NASA scientist approached me and said he could find funding for me. It turns out that this later on this NASA scientist was most likely working with China to extract American technologies out of the United States. I didn't know this at the time. I was naive developer trying to show off my skills and stuff like that. Historically, I've made video games, but I learned how to train robots inside of a simulator, which is basically similar to a game engine. And what happened was I learned we could accelerate the clock on this game engine and train the actual robots faster than real time. And what that means, it's like kind of growing a human to adulthood in a matter of months, or the robotic equivalent of it, basically. So that was the original patent that was filed in 2015. Around 2018, it was granted. By then, Shenzhen O-Film funded my company with convertible notes for about $1 million. So we raised $1 million, and I hired a team. We started getting on development, but it wasn't for the advanced humanoid robotic system. Basically, it was for a social robot, basically. And the social robot's name was B08 the robot. You could look it up online. And the social robot was a pretty awesome robot. It had a pretty good chat-based system. It was kind of like a karaoke machine on wheels. It was designed for fun and comedy and humor. It had a great chat system with it, and it worked fantastic. I also developed another technology in there called Scepter, which is a smart speaker, and I'll show this later on my Twitter feed what it looks like. And basically, what happened was we were invested in for $1 million around 2017 with a convertible note. If you don't know what in what startup finance is, a convertible note is basically something that it's given to you on two terms. You pay back the note in a certain amount of time at a certain amount of interest, or what you can do is you can, if you don't have the money, just the investor just converts the amount of money they invest in you for the valuation of the company by the time you're ready to run a Series A. Of course, this is our seed round. So what happens, I kicked ass, my team kicked ass on making the robot. We did great. We had 2 fantastic products ready to go for manufacturing. And it was pretty much go time to raise a Series A round to start manufacturing these technologies. And this was probably around the Trump trade war, when Trump started the trade war against China because of the huge trade imbalances that China has been taking advantage of the United States over since we basically propped them out of their post giant leap forward plunge, basically, once China started opening up. So what happened was they refused to fund us for a Series A round. The CEO, which was probably a foreign agent, was pretending to raise a Series A, but what they were actually waiting for was for me to go bankrupt or have to sell the technology to China, basically. The patent was granted in 2018 for the advanced humanoid. And the implications of this patent are profound. They're huge. It's not something that's self-conscious. I mean, I want to say self-aware, like you hear from what Terminators are or whatnot. This is something that is fully controlled by a human. The thoughts can be seen, and its actions can be seen inside the simulator first. And if that logic is not acceptable, it never has to be burnt into the actual physical robot itself. So that means we could test it in a simulator before we even launch the system. So it's a very, very safe system. There is security risk if somebody has access to the training program or learns how to train it, basically. So that's why we have to have certain administrative privileges on the training system and which logic gets exported to the actual system. So what happened around 2018 or 2019 when we were running low on capital, which was their trap, basically. It was a 15-month term to raise a Series A with $1 million fundraise. We had maybe about 12 or 15 developers. I had a fantastic development team, some really, really great rock stars. I had an excellent chatbot programmer in England and some great engineers here working locally for me here in Sacramento, California. And what happened after they said the notes were due, they literally just filed a lawsuit and said, "Oh, by the way, you frauded us. A whole bunch of BS, basically. They created a bunch of claims that were unreal and not true. Their objective here was not necessarily to file a legitimate lawsuit. The lawsuit was complete BS. Everything I built for Shenzhen O-Film was perfect. The robot was delivered way early on schedule. It's a fantastic robot. The smart speaker design is fantastic. All the technical milestones have been made. That $1 million investment was there to literally extract my patent that I filed in 2015. If you're familiar with the unrestricted warfare doctrine that was released maybe around 2009 by the Chinese Communist Party, 2 authors authored it. The number one priority is specifically weapons. That's the number one priority. And we know the Chinese communists have been stealing weapons and advanced technologies from America for a very, very, very long time now. So when the lawsuit was filed, I literally had to close shop. I had to dismiss my developers, and my developers have families, they have kids, and I take full responsibility for letting these demons into my company and wrecking the actual project and setting the project back. And remember, this is around 2017. It is now 2022. Had I got funding from a legitimate company that wanted to run an ethical business and not economically hit me, these robots that I developed in 2015, these methodologies, we could have these things today in building them and manufacturing them in our agriculture area. They could farm for us. They can pick strawberries. They have very, very dexterous fingers, and we wouldn't be reliant on foreign labor, and we would have something that can finally compete with Chinese slave prison labor, which goes back to the other part of what happened. Any technologies developed in the United States have to be they're under the EAR, which is the Export Administration Regulations, and Department of Commerce, basically. And under EAR, you actually have to ask permission by the United States government to bring or export technologies inside or outside of the stuff, or inside or outside of the United States. Specifically, one of the areas is called ITAR. We cannot send weapons to certain countries. We cannot send nuclear parts to some countries, and so forth, which makes sense. I support the EAR and the Department of Commerce's mission. What happened was the AI regulations started clamping down, and eventually OFILM, who also supplies Apple optical screens to Apple, they were caught by the Department of Commerce. And what an optical screen is something that you see on the smartphones, like my iPhone right here. There's a screen here, or a film that OFILM manufactured. What happened was they got caught by the Department of Commerce using Uyghur slave prison labor for manufacturing their parts and components. Eventually, Department of Commerce heard this. They put them instantly on the entity list, which is basically a no trade list by the United States Department of Commerce, and there is no trade allowed with them for bringing their product in or us shipping any product to them, basically. Because they were put on an entity list, I took Department of Commerce export controls training when this stuff was going on. If I were to even hand a Shenzhen OFILM a small piece of an electronic, I would be fined for over $2.5 million and be put in jail for 5 years, because it is a form of espionage. You have to follow the law, and I support them. Again, we don't want critical technologies leaving the United States of America, which is what's been happening. So Shenzhen OFILM is now on the entity list. Tim Cook, yes, Apple has been using prison labor because they were using Shenzhen OFILM to actually produce their optical films for their smartphones. As soon as Tim Cook got word of one of their suppliers, Shenzhen OFILM using prison labor to produce Apple products, he quickly got rid of them. They got bought out, and he kind of wiped his hands of it, basically. So that's the status with them. So I have a kind of a long-standing relationship with China, basically, as far as my experience with them. I originally went to China around 2003 or 2003 for martial arts training. I have a martial arts background. I spent just under a year there, basically. I learned a lot about the culture. I learned a lot about the people, a lot of good people there. And when I talk about Chi-Coms and when I talk about Chinese, again, I don't have a problem with Chinese people. What I have the problem with is the Chinese Communist Party and what they are doing to their people and what they are doing to our people and their intervention with other countries, basically. So when I mention CHICOM, I'm talking about specifically the Chinese Communist Party and not the Chinese people. The Chinese people that come here to America, they thrive, they have successful business, and they're not going back there. They love it here. So basically what happened was they filed a huge lawsuit against me. And then I had to close that business. So I just started picking up my business about 7 or 8 months ago. And I started getting some industrial equipment. And then sure enough, I got hit by COVID and I almost died in UC Davis Medical Center. The treatment there was so bad. I am pretty sure UC Davis left me in a bed. They tied me down there. They left me in a bed to die, basically. I woke up 2 weeks later in my own piss and shit, trying to figure out what was going on and how I ended up there tied to the bed, basically. And it turns out a dear friend I have that works in law enforcement, I won't mention his name or what agency he works for, was looking for me. He literally had to flash his badge at the doctor and say, I work for XY, blah, 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 whatever agency. And if you do not release him, I will use my law enforcement powers to get you in trouble, basically. So what happened was, all I remember being in the hospital was being thirsty. My hands were tied. My feet were tied. I couldn't go anywhere. And I had a robot there just staring at me. It was a giant robot that just said, don't do that. When I started trying to chew my hand cuffs off, or whatever they're doing to me, basically. So it was a terrible experience. My family couldn't reach me. And had my friend from law enforcement not flashed his badge and got me out of there, I would probably be dead. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and my oxygen level when I was in there was down to 76%. They were about this close to intubating me or putting me on one of those vent machine. Basically, I asked the doctor. I said, well, what are my chances here? Am I going to be able to actually? What are my chances here? He said, you have about a 50-50 chance. Basically, it was terrifying. That was the closest to death I've ever been. All I was thinking about was my daughter, and how she might grow up without a father. That was the most painful thing. I accept my fate when I die. I have faith. I'm a spiritual man, and I'll accept my death when I die. It's part of being alive. But my daughter being raised without a father, that's a thing I couldn't live without. That was the thing that I was fighting for. And fortunately, my friend saved my life. He knows who he is. He may be listening now. Thank you very much for saving my life. I appreciate it. I owe you big time. So just as I started picking up my business again, and I got out of the hospital after my friend rescued me, I literally was so sick from the shock of nearly dying. It took me about 3 months just to get out of the shock of just saying to myself, thank God I'm alive. Thank God I have food to eat. It took me 3 months. That's all I said, for 3 months before I could bounce back and come back to work. By then, 4 months later, I had industrial equipment that I couldn't maintain the payments on. So I literally lost my income and revenue of stuff I was making in the shop from COVID. So now I'm in a transition right now. I'm literally moving the business to Texas. I am done with California. We have plans to move there. My building's up for lease now, and I'm not coming back to California. It's just not. It's not a pro business environment. The investors here in the California area, they're not willing to invest in technologies that can compete with Chinese labor. Instead, they're looking for stuff like green energy or whatever, stuff that's not gonna not going to save us from unleashed AI that bad actors can create, basically. And what I mean by unleashed AI is an AI that just indiscriminately kills everything that is warm or in an area that moves, basically. And the only thing that can stop an unleashed AI is another AI, and that's why I'm building this robotic system. People are scared of Terminators and robots, whatever you call them, but they are going to be developed. My goal in life is to make sure that America has the absolutely best technology to preserve what we have here. Our Constitution changed the world. Our rights are the most important thing that we have. And when America was founded, the whole world changed. It changed forever. And what happened after America was founded? All the innovation, the right to property, and I'm talking about intellectual property here. The right to property was given to us so we could develop, we could innovate, and we could keep what was ours. In other political regimes, if you develop something, it's not yours. It's actually part of the common good or somebody else's, basically. We can keep our property here. When you have a patent grant, it's yours, and you could win the fruits of your labor, basically. So after the Chinese economic espionage, it was terrible. It was stressful. I had to let my team go. They have families to take care of, and I got hit by them the second time when I got hit by COVID. COVID is definitely, hands down, 100% out of the Wuhan lab, the Wuhan Chinese lab, basically. This has all been released now. It is a bioweapon. It is not a pangolin and a bat doing something, whatever they may be, in a wet market. It's too improbable. So they hit me once from the economic hit on my company. They hit me again when I got hit by COVID. And when I first went to China, my first wife that I married in China, I fell in love with her. We decided to get married, and within about a year, she was pregnant, actually. So we were about to have a kid. We were about maybe 3 or 4 months into the pregnancy, and I was in the United States waiting for her to come to the United States with her legal immigration process. And I call her up and said, "Hey, how's the baby doing?" And she said, "Well, there's no more baby." And I mean, what do you mean there's no more baby? And what that meant to me was she literally aborted our baby without any discussion. No discussion at all. We were 24 years old, healthy, no major medical problems. That was around 2003. I should have a 22-year-old daughter by now, basically. So anyways, I'm going to continue on here. What it feels like being hit economically by a foreign actor in a state-sanctioned economic espionage. It used to be called industrial espionage by the FBI, but now it's called economic espionage. You end up getting a lawsuit. They did a lawsuit just to destroy my professional my professional reputation is what I'm trying to say. So that's been lingering, and I'm still developing stuff. I am extremely super secret. Now I only disclose some stuff on a need-to-know basis. And I do have investors and friends and stuff like that are helping me get through this, basically. So I wanted to say this to the Chi-Coms that are handling state-sanctioned espionage. State-sanctioned economic hits on American people. State-sanctioned economic attacks on our constitutional republic, actually. I wanted to say this to them. Number one, you killed... Hold on a second. Let me put the scary, angry lights on. You killed my baby. You hit me economically. You almost killed me in UC Davis with COVID. You've killed nearly 2 of my businesses now. And I have taken major countermeasures for my security, basically. You are not going to get my technology. You aren't going to get me, you're not going to get near me physically. Since 2001, I have had extensive martial arts training. I'm trained in Taekwondo and contemporary Wushu. That's Shaolin style Kung Fu. That's what I learned in your country in Beijing. I studied in the best contemporary martial arts school there with some of the best martial arts practitioners. I know you know lineage is important, so I have the same lineage martial arts wise as Jet Li, the Beijing Shisha High School or Beijing Martial Arts Sports School. I might not have the physical capabilities at my age to perform those extremely athletic movements for contemporary Wushu, but they are right here. They are right here. I've also studied Krav Maga, used by our brothers for Israeli Defense Forces. It's a very, very lethal, striking, grappling martial art, along with capoeira, the Brazilian martial art. Capoeira was done by the Brazilian slaves who were not allowed to practice martial arts, so they disguised their martial art as a dance. It's the equivalent of martial arts jazz to jazz music, basically. It's not something that's formally done. It's learned, and it's improv perpetually. It's a very, very athletic sport, very good one. I've also studied Western boxing, Wing Chun. That's Bruce Lee's art, Wing Chun. I have been trained to fight multiple opponents much bigger than me with my bare hands. Not only that, but I have trained infantry skills, rifle skills, run and gun, basically. I've probably shot over 250,000 rounds, pistol and carbine. I got private instruction from a Turkish military trained person, basically, my instructor. I follow all laws. I don't condone any violence. I'm very safe with firearms, and I'm very, very well trained. As far as my 5th generation warfare training, I've been programming computers since I was 6 years old. I call 5th generation middle school games non-kinetic, basically. I read Hacking Exposed in 1996, and I was a computer science major in college at that era. To give you the level of proficiency I am in information warfare or cyber warfare, I caught an African 419 scammer, the exact location he was in, and the exact internet cafe he was in Cameroon, Africa, within 1 hour after he tried to take my money during the rifle primer shortage, basically. 1 hour, I got the exact IP location, and the next day I was on the phone with the Secret Service reporting his location in the internet cafe. So the message to the Chi-Com espionage people, whatever you are doing, You will not beat me physically. You will not beat me within 1,000 yards away. And you will not beat me wherever there's an internet cable. So stay away. This technology is for America. This technology is to protect the American people and to make sure our American people are not treated like robots. Let's turn the scary lights off now. All right. So the next topic I'm gonna talk about, now that I got the economic espionage stuff out of the way and the countermeasures I've done to protect myself from this stuff that happened to me. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Russia's latest release from the evidence in Ukraine around biowarfare. I have to load this up on my computer for a second. It was here. My clock is a little bit off on my computer, so it threw me off a little bit. Here's one slide here. I'm going to switch it over to web browser. Chrome web browser here. There we go. This is the first slide of 7 slides that were released for a brief on why Putin claims to come to the United States, or Putin comes to fight Ukraine, basically. He has evidence, he claims to have evidence of the biowarfare weapons or the bioweapons that have been being developed in these dark labs. This is slide 1, basically. There's requests, RFI, requests for a drone that could drop a vapor over a certain area. Now, why would you want to drop a vapor over somebody? I don't think this is, I don't think it's anti-dandruff shampoo. We know what it is. So we have all this stuff in here about the drone, the aerosol deployment of some agents, which are talked about in this. I'm going to go to the next slide here. I think you could see this here. Bear with me. I'm my own production studio right now. I'm going to go to slide 2 here. Putin talks about the people responsible for this stuff. Again, it goes back to Barack Obama. If you zoom in here, Barack Obama in 2005 starts these bioweapon programs, basically. Again, this is what Putin claims. They set the tasks through these government agencies, which are listed here. And not only that, they get the budget for it, and then they send it to these pharmaceutical companies up here. I have been, ironically, my brother actually works for Eli Lilly, and I've been inside of these facilities. They are mostly in San Diego, California. A lot of them are in San Diego, California. Huge bio research stuff. Some good science, maybe, but this stuff I'm honestly very scared of now, especially after COVID. I'm going to go to a different slide now. I'm going to talk about he has photos of this stuff. I'm not going to cover this slide right here. He has photos of tuberculosis. This is one of them. But there's one thing. There's photos of the biolab in here, which I'm throwing again on my own one-man production studio here. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so this is a dark biolab here. This is absolutely disgusting. This is the biowarfare. With this, I've seen what a modern production biolab looks like. This is not one of them. This is absolutely disgusting. Whether it's real, I can't vouch for it. This is apparently what Putin has found, and this is what he claims to be the evidence. They had to destroy this stuff. I mean, this is disgusting. This is the bioweapon equivalent, or a biolab equivalent of a meth lab. It's disgusting. Look at this. What are these things on the top? What are these fuzzy things on top? Is it a dryer lint or something? This is absolutely disgusting. The people that had to clean this place out were at extremely high risk. You can see in the photograph that they were literally attacking this thing. There's bullet shots on the top here. So this place was attacked. They knew where it was at, but this is a very discreet, dark bio lab. I don't even know why these things existed. Why should these things even exist? It's disgusting. After COVID, we shouldn't be screwing around with biology like this. CRISPR has caused so much risk on something we don't fully understand. I think the simplest cellular organism is like Rhodey. The known is like, it's called a Rhodey something. It's a single-celled organism that has 173,000 base pairs of DNA, basically. We can't build something from scratch. We can't build one cell from scratch. All we can do is hack. We don't have the capabilities to know exactly what we're doing. On my systems, I keep all biology separate from the electronics. There is no biological systems in my technologies. I prefer to keep biology separate from the technology or silicon. They just do not mix very well. And I can understand if somebody needs a prosthetic for sensors and stuff like that, or if there's something like a glucometer, that's fine. But otherwise, biology and biotech, I'm super bearish of, mostly because we still don't fully understand everything. Why does a corn have more DNA than a human being? It makes absolutely no sense, because we don't fully understand it. So this is what Putin released. It's up there. And what I decided to do, I put this on the Ethereum blockchain, these 7 slides, because my vision of media in the future is not necessarily you Google something and it shows up, because that's not going to happen with these documents. I guarantee you within 3 days, these documents are going to disappear. When you type them in, there's going to be what I call counterintelligence buried searches. And when people try to look this stuff up, they won't find it. But now it is in the Ethereum blockchain forever. You don't have to pay for them to see them. You could look at them. You could see the date they're published and the website, which may change. We know the website may change. You can search back in the Wayback Engine or whatnot. But for the most part, they're in the Ethereum blockchain forever. And what that means is you would literally have to destroy the Ethereum blockchain in order to get rid of these documents. I'm still skeptical on some crypto. I don't like crypto that much because, number one, the purpose of crypto is to have a decentralized money. But the problem is every time you switch that money out to, for example, the greenback or our fiat currency, you have to go to a central exchange, basically. That completely defeats the purpose of a decentralized currency when you have to go to a centralized exchange. And those centralized exchanges are where all the security vulnerabilities start, because they know where the equivalent of the cryptocurrency bank is at the centralization of those currencies. So I had my Bitcoin stolen when I had it in Mt. Gox at $22 a Bitcoin. So I had a few Bitcoins. I am literally in the lawsuit with Mt. Gox right now, still waiting for my settlement. So I had at least a couple of Bitcoin back then when it was around $22. So I'm still super skeptical about using crypto as a way of a means of finance, or a alternative to, for example, gold, or or silver, for example. So going back to the actual slides here and why I put them up in the blockchain. I'll link this on my Twitter. If you go to my Twitter, I think it's here. You can see them on my Twitter account. My Twitter is at Subvertio1. It's up here. There's my new profile pic. Some of the patents I have are on there, and some of the interesting technologies are on there basically. But I'll show that some other time basically. I am going to text, or I'm gonna send Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones a message on Truth Social, Trump's social network, and I'm going to interview them in a bit here. So I'm going to send them a message. Hopefully they are around. All right, I'm going to tweet them here. If they're listening now, you guys can go ahead and call now. I just sent them a message. Hopefully they receive that. So while we're waiting for them, or while we're waiting for that phone call, most of the NFTs that have been going on have been complete rug pull scams. I've been monitoring these things. If you do not see a face to the name on NFTs, if the person is not domestic or they don't show their face, they didn't self-dox or whatnot, most likely these NFTs are probably scam or rug pull people. And what I mean by rug pull is they hype up a project and they self-purchase it to inflate it and increase the value of it. Now, this is a familiar practice because around 2006 or 7, I actually appeared on Max Kaiser's show and talked about Flappy Birds. Max Kaiser's on RT, and he had a show called The Kaiser Report. I was one of the first ones to talk about it publicly as far as how these Chinese click farms are manipulating the app charts on the iOS App Store. I'm going to Google a picture of these right now just so you guys can see them while we're waiting for Owen and Alex Jones to call. Let me just check everything, make sure everything's working. Cool. Looks like it's okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up these click farms, and I'm gonna show you pictures of what they look like. And this is how they use to manipulate these iOS charts on the App Store. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to the web browser. You can see them here. This is one of them over here where they just literally just walk around and download apps. This is one of them right here. And what happens is you're just manipulating the charts. The same thing has been going on with these rug pulls, basically. They self-buy and increase it and inflate the price of it. And there's bag holders on these NFT assets. So this is happening now with the NFTs. I support the architecture of the NFT in the sense that if there's a credible person behind a project, for example, Alex Jones and InfoWars, there's a person behind it. He's in the domestic shores of the United States. If he does something awry or bad, then you could complain basically. But with these other foreign NFT projects that are going on, what's happening is people are getting the rugs pulled out on the NFTs. I'm going to give a quick primer on what an NFT is. It's called a non-fungible token, basically. It's based upon the Bitcoin blockchain technology. And what I mean by that is Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer network. If you guys ever downloaded Napster or whatever, it's basically a decentralized network of computers that are sharing the same resource. And what happens on the blockchain is your tokens or transfers are validated by a random set of computers on the internet. So there's advantages and disadvantages to that, which I talked about earlier. The primary advantage of being on a decentralized platform is the ability. Sorry, my phone interrupted that a little bit. What the problem with the decentralized aspect of these things is they're also insecure. You're basically, if you have a Bitcoin node in your house, then that's an open node, basically. It's going into your house. And can that computer be accessed? Probably. Is it secure and safe? I think it's secure and safe most of the stuff is secure and safe as long as you don't put it on a central exchange. I'm super leery about central exchanges, largely because of Mt. Gox, basically. But going back to the NFT, what happens is the NFT is a non-fungible token. It's in a blockchain that you can keep track of, but instead of just storing cryptocurrency or an amount of coin you have, it stores other stuff such as images, some videos, and other like documents, such as PDFs or JPGs and other image formats, basically. So what happens is right now it's being used for a lot of artists. There's a lot of suspicious projects because pretty much about 100% of them have been artificially inflated, in the same sense that the actual iOS charts were manipulated, probably even until today. They would buy their own assets with anonymous wallets and inflate their assets, and some bag holder would get caught in the frenzy and purchase the asset at an artificially inflated price. But the technology is sound. In my humble opinion, my view of NFTs is people releasing media, evidence, facts that can link back to certain articles that can be validated and verified. For example, I think I saw a tweet the other day of the New York Times saying that Elon Musk said something, and Elon Musk literally went on Twitter and said, "I never said that." So what can happen is every NFT article that's out there basically can have the hyperlinked equivalent or HTML equivalent of links of the people they mention, and can be validated or approved or denied by the person that was making that quote, whether it's the article writer, the publisher or whatever, and that the person they're mentioning or what they're saying things could be accurate or inaccurate, basically. And through that NFT thread and the token and the connections to it, we can validate whether a press release or a press agency or a news agency or a blogger or whatever is a legitimate, credible source, basically. So I'm just going to check real quick on Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones in a second here. I'm still waiting for the response. I think, let's see what they say here. Okay, I'll just quote him one more time. I'll see if I can ping him. So literally, these slides are now on the Ethereum blockchain. Anybody can find them. They can look them up. They'll be in there forever now. I can't validate the authenticity of them, but I think everything's gotten so bad at this point in time, politically, economically, and financially, that I think we are getting close to a major conflict. And I don't think anybody wants this conflict going nuclear. I hate to say the word. It's a bad word. I fully believe Putin is capable of launching nukes, and I think he will do it. I think China is capable of launching nukes too. In my entire life, I've never felt like we have been so close to nuclear war with this Ukrainian conflict that's going on right now. I'm absolutely terrified, and this is why I'm out here doing this right now. I don't see this nuclear war, or I don't see this war that is being, that's going on right now, getting any better. And what I feel like on these slides, I feel like the previous regimes are literally covering up their tracks, and we have gone to war because this regime right here is covering up their tracks on the biomedical research they've been doing in Ukraine, which Putin repeatedly asked to stop. If Putin is not lying and these facts are true, then this regime right here that you see in front of us is most likely covering up the tracks in these dirty labs that they have in here on what they've been doing. Or these dirty labs. Anyways, I won't put them back up again. I hope we are not going to go to a nuclear war covering up mistakes or crimes of a previous political regime. That's why I'm broadcasting this right now. Anyways, I'm going to plug myself here. And if you like the content, if you like the podcast, I plan on doing it once a week. Please sign up on the website. The website is https://far-corp.com. That's FAR-CORP.com. And what happens is a little pop-up happens on the website that asks you to enter your email. If you can, just enter your email or send it on this little chat box back down here. There you go. There's the pop-up. Just put your email in there. And what I could do is like keep you in the loop of any updates, any news or whatnot that's going on with technology and the status of the actual project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a short break here. I haven't received any. I'm going to take a short break here, so just stay tuned. It'll be like a 2-minute break. But please, in the meantime, go to FAR-CORP.com and put your email in that little form there, and so I can keep in touch with you, okay? I'm going to try to go to a quick break here and see if I could find Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones. Hang tight.
iPod goes, Droid goes, Mac goes, Linux goes, servos go, lights go, hydraulics go, dot matrix goes, inputs go, keyboards go. But there's one sound that no one knows. What do the bots say?
This is madness.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
I'm an android.
My name is Optimus Prime.
What do the
autonomous robotic organisms from
What
the
do the
planet
clocks
Cybertron.
say?
Resistance is futile.
I do believe they think I am some sort of god.
What do the clocks say?
I'll be back.
Big red eyes, metal toes, keyboard, mouse, security holes. If you get a virus, you'll turn blue. Backup, reformat, reinstall. So digital. No.
Gonna grab a quick water here. I guess Owen Schroyer, and I guess he's he's relaxing after work, so I'm not sure where he's at. I just texted him again, and I'll give him a few more minutes, but I had a little bit more material prepared, but I was expecting to have a guest tonight. I think we're in a very, very dangerous situation right now, as far as not only the situation that is could potentially escalate in Ukraine. I hope, I really, really hope that we don't cause a nuclear war by continuing to create number one, more bioweapons. I don't even think we should be creating bioweapons, which we clearly are. I can understand biodefense weapons or treatments for known bioweapons. That's fine. But the creation of them, I think, is disgusting. COVID shut the world down for almost 2 years now. It's affected so many people. So many people have died. I almost died. A lot of friends almost died. I know people who did die. I know people who got very, very sick from the vaccine. I think it's going to get catalyzed. It's going to get catalyzed by the midterms, basically. And I think they're scared of another Trump run in 2024. At this current pace we're going financially, with the inflation, the supply chain breakdowns and stuff like that, I'm hoping that the damage is not irreparable. I think when I tweet, or I mentioned an RT tweet for Russia Today, I try to watch all news, and I do watch, I do check out RT to see what Putin is saying, obviously, and I want to get the full story. I want to get the whole picture to see what's going on. I want to do everything I possibly can to prevent and stop a nuclear war, and I think diplomacy is always the best solution, and I don't support the actions that Putin is doing to Ukraine, but it's understandable because of NATO's continually eastward encroachment with weapons, specifically bioweapons. I mean, imagine after COVID, there's more weapons being developed, basically. Of course, Putin's going to be creeped out by that stuff. Nobody wants that stuff. But making it worse by sending Ukraine these weapons, I don't think it's helping at all. I don't think it's helping anybody. Again, I think the most common suggestion now, or what I hear now, is I support the current thing, basically, whether it was putting masks on yourself, and now it's supporting Ukraine. Ukraine and that war has been going on with the Slavs for hundreds of years now, basically. There's now a baby formula shortage now, I guess. We have mothers that can't find baby formula for their children. But we're sending all these weapons to Ukraine, most likely agitating the Russians. And I'm pretty confident that Taiwan is, China is studying the U.S. reaction to what's going on over there, and I suspect there will be a Taiwan. I think they're posing to take Taiwan. I'm guessing before the midterms. I think that's going to happen. The time I spent in China, all the mainlanders always were adamant that Taiwan was China, basically. Hong Kong is China. Well, now Hong Kong is China, and I think China is definitely going to probably take China. I'm guessing, this is my speculation, my guess, within the next 6 months, or at least before the midterms. I've been to Taiwan also. I spent time in Beijing, China, and I've also spent time in Taiwan, in Taipei. And the amount of semiconductors that come out of that country is phenomenal. They literally produce so much important technology for not just the United States, but for the world. The semiconductor infrastructure, the processor forging, this isn't something that can be built in, like a year or two. This is a very, very, very highly specialized, very, very highly specialized manufacturing. And I think they supply something close to like 80% of the world's processors or semiconductors, something along that nature, something along those lines, basically. And if China does invade Taiwan, not only will it be a horrible war, but China will get a monopoly over chip production. There's very, very few processor forges in the United States. Now they're building more. I think Intel's building one in Arizona. But for the most part, we cannot have China take Taiwan. I recognize Taiwan as an independent country, basically. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but I'm really, really scared that China will take Taiwan, basically. I'm going to check in with Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones here in a second here. I think it may be late. It is I think it's Mountain Time over there, so it's probably like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'll follow up with Ian Schroyer and Alex Jones for a future broadcast. I am going to conclude this podcast for tonight. Go ahead and sign up. Again, sign up on my website. Go to the website, far-corp.com. And send me this one right here. Send me your email, and I appreciate the time. I'll keep you posted on developments of the actual transition to Texas and the status of the robot. But for the most part, I'm doing the best I can. I will make a recovery from all the stuff that happened, the economic espionage, and I will keep on making very, very good technologies for the American people, basically. So thanks a lot for your time, and I will talk to you later. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey.